about 1% of it. You could round that off to 100 grand. The benefit rate when you do a raise does not include health care. Do not let them do that to you. If I'm going to give the lecturer unit a 5% raise, the cost of health, there's no additional cost of health care because we're giving people a 5% raise. The health care costs are already there to the university. Now the costs that move with your raise are Social Security, Medicare, retirement. Those things move with salary. And that's where, and I'm being pretty generous here by making that 21%. I think it's a little lower here actually, but they're going to argue this benefit rate should be 40 or 45%. And what it's going to do, and the best advice I can give you, it's going to inflate what it costs. And do not let them get away with putting health care into this benefit number. Because they have, I can tell you on their website, they have benefit rates for every category of worker. And for the faculty, the benefit rate is lower because the salaries are higher. For the lecturer group and some of the other groups on campus, the benefit rate is over 40%, it's 45%. Do not let them use that rate. It's not appropriate, it's not right, and it grossly overstates what it really costs. So this is about what it costs to give everybody in the lecture unit a 1% raise. Put that in context. There's a cost of a 1% raise, there's a 5% raise for all of you, a 10% raise, and that's the additional state appropriation they're getting in 2015 over 14.
Oh.
Even better, here are the UNH, it was just Durham, and I only took, remember the whole thing was 238? I even understated that just because they'll probably say it's low. I couldn't, these are, so put these raises in the context of their annual extra cash flow they have here, and their reserves, and their additional state money. These raises are couch cushion money. Now, let me say this, you're not getting a 10% raise out of these people. You're just not, because that's just the way the world works. You're not getting a 5% raise either, I got news for you. But there are other ways to get raises. I still think politically this can help you, and just substantively I think it helps. When you if you show this to the administration, they're going to say this is completely irrelevant. These bars mean nothing to me. They mean nothing to me. But they should, because they put context on what you're asking for. So, my point is they can afford to give you substantial raises. We know they should give you those raises, but we have to figure out a way to get people appropriately compensated in the context. We just have to figure out a way to do it that's not just give me money or I'm going home. We have to figure out a way to work with them, and I think we can. And one of the things you got to think about is health care and the link between salaries and health care. And this, I know the full-time unit's not negotiating, but you guys have been through this. Because here, unlike many places, you negotiate health care. It's a negotiated item. At many places, it's set by the state, like at Connecticut, at UConn or Connecticut State. They don't negotiate health care at the bargaining table. It's all set by state law, because they're considered state employees. But here it's different. You guys are going to negotiate this at the table. So when you look at your salary increases, are these large enough to offset health care increases? Are you being offered a pay cut? That's what's happening right now to Rudy at Wright State. Rudy is in negotiations as we're talking here. He's in negotiations at Wright State. They've offered his group a pay cut because the extra health care costs are much higher than what they're offering for compensation increases. They're not covering them. There's a lot of things to think about with health care. We do a lot of this stuff. We model all this stuff. Premiums, deductibles, co-insurance, co-pays, both office and drugs. All these things are going to come into play. In looking at your benefits, like I did, I looked at your benefits for the tenure track faculty pay a percentage of the premium. It varies from 14 to 22% depending on the plan. The good news is percentage is fairly low. National averages have those percentages at 27, 28. The bad news is it's the percentage of a rate you have no control over. It's the percentage of the illustrative costs that the insurance company rubs together, throws some dirt in the air, white smoke comes up, and here's the number. And you just kind of give it the number. You don't have any say over it. The lecturers pay a flat dollar amount of premium right now. For singles, it's pretty reasonable. That's on an annual basis. For families, I think it's very high, but it's still only 22% of the cost. It's a very high cost region in terms of health care. The policies you have are very rich. What I mean by rich, they cover a lot. I can't imagine there's many gaps in coverage. You get to see the doctors you want. The things you need physicians for are typically covered. You don't have any trouble. You have a very rich plan, but it's very costly. So just think about these things. Think about it. Premiums are vary with income. You have a wide variety of income in bargaining unit, from 30-something thousand to well over 100,000, same in the tenure track group. University of Cincinnati does it as a percentage of income, that's the way they do it. Make sure the ratio of families to singles is reasonable. This rate, this to that. Look at what it is in comparables in the region. You know, Harvard Pilgrim has a lot of your plans. They also have the plans in a lot of other places I've been to. Been to Emerson, a private school. They do Harvard Pilgrim there too. The total cost split between you and them. And you should not take a pay cut. So these are the things to consider in healthcare. We have a lot of other contracts that we're negotiating. We just finished Wright State standalone AUP unit. Standalone unit means it's only lecturers, just like you. It's exact as you, same as you. Sole AUP, just like you. Rudy was their chief negotiator. Rudy's obviously a full-time faculty member. He was and still is their chief negotiator. And they're negotiating the second contract right now. They finished the first one, which has a lot of tremendous gains in it. It is, to me, the gold standard in security for non-tenure track faculty. This contract is the best we have, by far. We also negotiated for University of Oregon, Illinois, Chicago. This one is a standalone unit. That means, again, it's just lecturers, just like you guys. This one, the lecturers are part of what I'm calling wall-to-wall. Wall-to-wall means like everybody's in it. People who work .01, advisors, everyone's in that thing. So they don't have academic professionals, but they have mostly everybody else. Mike Mallon was the co-chief negotiator. Did a great job, and I was out there at the table, you know, both these places at various times. Here at the table, here behind the scenes, but here certainly at the table. And Mike was great to work with. And Rudy, you know, we speak on a daily basis about what's going on at his place. It helps him and it helps me when we negotiate, we bounce. I know their contract backwards and forwards, and he knows ours the same way, so that helps a lot. Long-standing AUP contracts representing lecturers. We have a lot of places. Kent State is separate. Some of these are separate. Northern Michigan separate. Some of these are combined with the others. You know, everyone's combined in one unit. But there's a lot of AUP contracts out there for you guys to use. A lot of information, a lot of history, a lot of experience. Lastly, some good news. Degrees conferred. You guys are graduating, people. Wonderful. I think it's good. Mazel tov, as we say. A little decline here in bachelor's degrees, but bachelor's degrees going down. We saw that in the enrollment numbers. But overall, you're getting people out of here. Very high graduation rate. This is a very high graduation rate. And look at the increase. This is the people that, you look at the kids that came in here in fall of 07, did they graduate by the end of 13? That's the way we do it. Kids that came in 06, did they graduate by the end of 12? And this is all that data behind it. If we look at that 80% graduation rate, 69% of the kids graduated in 4 years. Then another 9% graduated in 5 years. Then just 2% took that last 6 years. So you're getting most of the kids out in 4 years. That's what you do. And that's good. That's good. This comes from the actual audit statements that just came out. I do notice the applications received is going up, but the acceptance rate seems to be higher, and the enrollment rate is lower. There's a lot going on there, but a little, you could, if you looked at the SAT scores, you may see some differences over time. My guess is you would. The persistence rate is going down. It may not look like a lot from 89 to 86. So you look at the kids that started fall 12. Fall 12. Did they come? Were they here fall 13? 86% is high, but I think this slight decline is due to you may be taking in some kids you probably didn't take in a couple years ago. Have you guys noticed this?
Yeah.
I think in certain units that's happened.
Yeah. So, class size, I did not find a significant increase in class size at UNH. Is that true? The numbers tell me there has not been a big shift to very, very large classes. Is that true? So,
It's coming ahead.
what's that?
It's coming in another year or two.
Okay, but these are the big, so only about 6% of your classes have more than 100 students. And you can see that's remained pretty steady. I looked at all the years, but I just put 4 of them up here because the graph would be too busy otherwise. You can see there's even been an increase in really small classes. This is what percentage of the sections have between 2 and 9 students? What percentage of the sections have more than 100 students?
This is overall rate though, right?
This is just fresh, this is full undergraduate only.
Because, I mean, I know in my unit, we've seen class size steadily.
Yeah, this is everything. This is all undergraduate sections. And there's about 1,800 sections total. So it's just undergrad, just this campus. So it doesn't include some other stuff. But if what you're suggesting, we see the common data set, and this comes from the common data set, and we have the most recent ones. Last slide, state's doing well, appropriations up, revenues are up. Despite the hit from the state, reserves and cash flows are increasing. UNH is certainly not broke. Instructional and faculty costs are not the majority of costs, and athletics are most supported by the academic institutions. I'm done. Thank you. And certainly entertain any other questions you have, as my time is almost all used up, I see. But want to share, there's a lot, negotiations are a wholly different thing. I think no matter where you are, full-time faculty, you should all have a sense of what's going on at your university, and hopefully we've been able to do that a little bit. Often what happens after I give these, the admins see this and they go nuts. In fact, one of the things I hid from Deanna in the library was actually in the stacks with the students actually working. I was just at Cal State Maritime, and the admin sent out a PowerPoint that just was my PowerPoint, but they put like bubbles in it, like, this is bullshit. And they wrote on some of my slides, in essence, they wrote. So I responded to their this is bullshit stuff. So if you want to show this to the admins and they want to respond, I will gladly respond to them. Yes?
I have Howard's presentation, so if anybody wants to email me, I'll be happy to send it out to you. Minus, of course, Howard's bullshit bubbles, but
No, that was their bullshit.
Yeah, and I think we plan on putting it up on the UNH Lecturers United website, and I may also ask Howard to give us a condensed summary version that people can go through.
Because 89 slides is a lot to go through if you haven't been there, and hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much. But we can try to make it smaller and say, here are the 3 or 4 things, here or 5 slides, the biggest takeaways you can get from this. All right, thank you guys.
all right, thank you.